And here I have a cabbage plant that looks like crap. And here are our kiwi vines. They've really taken over this cattle panel trellis here. Oh, I should have watered that. I have a dead tomato plant. Hopefully there's not too many bugs. Hello, my name's Crystal. Welcome to our channel. We've decided to do a little bit of a garden tour today, or we call them garden walks, where we walk around and show how things are going, growing. Let's see, I think I'm gonna start over here by the apple trees. Here's our crab apple tree. It's got some little tiny berry-like apples on there. Over here we have another tree that we planted. There's no fruit on it this year though. This is our apple tree that we started from seed, and there's no fruit on that either. This is a Cortland apple tree. We ended up having to remove some branches off of it because of some worms that were all over it, and I didn't like that. But there are definitely apples growing on it, which is super exciting. There's some more down there. We have another Cortland apple tree with a couple apples on that one. And then this one's a Granny Smith apple tree. And it's got a couple on there. Over here we have blueberries. I'll be able to pick these pretty soon, probably in the next week or so. There's not many. These blueberry plants I got for $1 on clearance a couple of years ago. Here's what our grapevines look like. We put nets all over them, trying to protect them from the Japanese beetles and birds. But there are some grapes growing, all mixed in different spots in here. So we just have to keep an eye on when those start to ripen. They're not completely covered in Japanese beetles like they were before, or last year, but they are around. We just try and keep an eye on it and do the best we can. Now we're gonna head over to the garden. So over here, these are a couple of the raspberry bushes that I planted. One there too. And then the two over here did not grow at all. They just didn't take. In fact, I don't even see the sticks where I put them in anymore. These three, these are two blackberry bushes, I think, and this one's a raspberry. And then I have tomato plants scattered about, because I do that. I grow tomato plants everywhere I can. I also have some volunteer squash. I don't know what these are. They could be pumpkins. They could be winter squash. I have no idea. It's kind of wait and see. We have asparagus seeds that are starting to go here. They're just sprouting randomly. I put a lot of seeds in here, and many of them have not started growing. But we'll see what they do. I try and keep it watered in here as best I can. We have our cattle panel trellis. Those are all snap green beans from green beans seeds that we grew last year. We actually had those with dinner tonight. I also have some bushing container green beans that are pretty much done producing, so I need to take those out and plant something else in the containers. And then I have morning glory going around either side, and this is a loofah plant, much further along than I was able to grow last year. Here is our Greenstalk. I have all kinds of things in here. For the past couple of years I've used my Greenstalk mostly for growing herbs. This is a strawberry plant from one of the runners from our strawberry patch, and it's growing some runners. I have to cut those off. But I have lemon basil and Emily basil and Italian parsley. I just started new seeds. Sweet Italian basil, slow bolt cilantro, bolted cilantro, an orange hat tomato plant back there, and all kinds of other things growing. I've just started a whole bunch of new dill. I have onions in here and leeks, and this is celery, doing very good. Here is another rock bed that we have. I have sunflowers. I just started some more teddy bear sunflowers in the front here, and I have other sunflowers, just different varieties of things. That and zinnias mixed in. And I have some other perennial flowers. I just deadheaded this plant here. That's a daisy plant. And I just deadheaded all the dead flowers off of it, and it looks like there's some new blooms coming on. I have lavender and thyme, and this is a Kozak's pineapple ground cherry. And here's some bee balm from that we planted last year, and the plant came back so nicely. I love perennial flowers. We have some more lavender in the back and a bunch of other stuff growing. So many of the flowering plants are pretty much done over here. There's a bleeding heart here, but that one was done. And then this I need to come in and prune. This is a cat's pajamas. And up here I have, oh, I should have watered that. I have a dead tomato plant I put in here yesterday and then forgot to water it. That is not looking good. I have another volunteer squash plant. Again, I don't know what variety or anything. We won't know. I'm just gonna leave it and see what happens. There's another one in here too. So those must be from the squirrels or whatever, burying seeds. And we also have a volunteer pea plant. Oh, I just let those things go. And then I have, these are zinnias and a teddy bear sunflower in the middle. And here is our overly crowded strawberry bed. I can't believe how fast these plants multiplied, to the point where like they're so crowded. I'm gonna have to come in and really thin these out. If you look back at our videos from last year on what it looked like then versus this year, it's crazy to me. Plus, this all started from only a few plants that multiplied the year before, and then I transplanted those out here, and this is where we are. These are ever-bearing strawberries. They're a variety called Quinault, and they're starting to flower again, which is nice because they kind of stopped producing, and I feel like that's water related. We have not had a lot of rain this year. Steve is watering for me. And here's some more strawberry plants. And here are our Kiwi Vines. They've really taken over this cattle panel trellis here really, really nicely. I have to prune them back a little bit though because they're starting to escape to the other side. And I really just want to keep it onto this trellis until they start really producing flowers for me. These are self-fertile, a self-fertile variety. I have a lot of videos that talk about our kiwi vine experience, so if you're interested in that, I will have the playlist linked here as well as down in the description below. But the birds unfortunately got many of the kiwi berries that we had growing, so I can only find a few, but they're hard to spot because they're green. But I did have a whole bunch of them along the top and they're all gone, so I'm assuming we think that the birds got them. It's super disappointing when you work really hard and try and get something that you're to grow, and it finally produces berries and then the birds take it. It's annoying. All right, now we're in the garden and we will start over by the kiwi vines because that's where we just were. We're gonna be watering in here tonight because it's gonna be 90 degrees tomorrow. So we're gonna water tonight. That way, because if I water during the day, the water just evaporates. So I'd rather get all the plants really soaked tonight because we don't have rain anytime in the forecast, which makes me nervous a little bit for the garden. We will see. Especially we grow a lot in containers, so keeping things hydrated is important. But here's what I have over here. I transplanted some tomato plants in here. I have the homegrown beefsteak. I have some cucumbers that weren't doing good in the container, and I transplanted them in this, and they're starting to slowly show greener leaves. So we'll see what we get with that. This is a mystery tomato plant. I think it's a crimson giant, but the label fell off of the container and I have no idea. I have an artichoke plant. And we have zucchini and golden zucchini and yellow squash, and then some pepper plants in the back. I have another ground cherry seedling I put in there to see if I can get it to grow. So far it seems kind of stunted. These are the beds that I had the garlic growing in. Got kale and a Rosita eggplant. I started some Provider bushing beans in the front. They're just a green snap bean. This is a crimson sweet watermelon that I'm just gonna trail around. And I also started some delicata squash in the back. The best part about planting things like this on the end is I can trail the vine anywhere along the ground. I can even trail it on the outside of the fence if I want. It just kind of gives a spot for the vine to start. We kind of lead it where we want to go. We do the same thing with our pumpkins. I have a giant crimson from my gardener here. Have some onions actually growing for once. What is this, year 3 or 4? And then more bushing beans, more tomato plants, and another variety of watermelon. That one's an August ambrosia from seeds from a watermelon I grew last year. And over here we have a bunch of tomato plants, different varieties. Unfortunately, the labels got washed off. This is a sugar baby watermelon. I've got some yellow squash. Those are potatoes in that one, and another yellow squash in the corner. I have to remove one of these trellises and put it somewhere else, but that's a volunteer watermelon plant, and I'm pretty sure it's a sugar baby watermelon because that's what I had growing there last year. I know a tiny one was growing there and it kind of rotted right away, so there may have been a few seeds in that, and that is what started the plant this year. Again, I usually let the volunteer stuff go unless it's a whole bunch of ground cherries starting everywhere. And if you've ever grown ground cherries, you'd know why I don't let those go. It's because they get insanely large and produce a lot. I have Kajari melons and another type of watermelon. I'm not sure what it is. Tomatillos, more tomatoes, and then there's cucumbers, bushing and regular, that I've got on the trellis back here. This one is a silver slicer from Fruition Seeds, and I'm just kind of letting it crawl on the ground. And the same thing with this one. This one's, I think, a green machine or something. Yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's Green 18 F1 cucumber from High Mowing. This is the Green Machine zucchini. I just love this plant so much. Usually these F1 hybrid seeds are a little bit more expensive, but they produce so much. So I have that one there, and this is a different one. This one's just a Ford Hook zucchini. So I've been harvesting off of those. 3 Roma VF plants and 3 Amish paste tomatoes along this trellis. A golden zucchini, a bushing cucumber or Space Master 80 cucumber, and a crimson sprinter tomato plant. We have our blueberry bushes in here, a pumpkin spice jalapeno plant. I started these really early this year and I'm so glad I did. The results are so much better. We get things so much faster. I have Adirondack red potatoes in each of those containers that I just started the other day. This bed is kind of chaotic. I have butternut squash, honey nut squash. I was gonna trail some along the bottom and then trellis it up. Same thing with this, is trail it along the bottom and then trellis it up and over. I have celery in here. There's some sort of pickling cucumber, maybe a Chicago pickling cucumber in the corner, and I don't know what that is. It looks like some sort of cantaloupe, but I have no idea. This is our sweet pepper bed, and I think volunteer marigolds, but now that I think about it, I may have thrown a seed in there. I love marigolds in the garden. This bed needs water pretty badly, it looks like. But this is hot pepper our hot pepper bed. We have all kinds of different hot peppers. Same thing with the sweet peppers. We have all kinds of different ones that I can go into when we start to harvest the peppers. And this is what's left of our red lettuce that I've been harvesting from. I have a tomato plant in the middle, some basil that's gone to seed, more celery and chives. This is our sweet potato bed with Jakey's pea trellis in the middle. More peppers in containers, and I have another Space Master 80 cucumber, more peppers. This is where we had our peas. I've got tomatoes transplanted in here. The best part about staggering out, and it's not always on purpose, it's just how things happen, but the best part, and I did this last year, of staggering out the plantings, so not planting all the tomato plants that I have at once, staggering the times out, is that means I'm gonna get harvests at different times. So when one tomato plant stops producing, I'll still have these other ones behind me that will start maybe a little bit later, and I'll get harvests a little bit later and a little bit further into fall time, which I really, really like. Got a dinosaur kale plant and some of the peas that were in there from the peas that we had growing in here. They're starting to grow, so I'm just gonna kind of let that happen. And here I have a cabbage plant that looks like crap. It's covered in worms, and it's the furthest along I've ever gotten a cabbage plant to go. So it's a store-bought plant. We bought it very small. We also bought a broccoli plant at the same time. I think it was around Mother's Day. The broccoli plant died, and that's still going, but it's covered in bugs. So I'm not really sure what's gonna happen with that. Another bushing cucumber plant that's looking kind of sad. Some more celery. In this bed I have beets still, some of the Amarillo carrots that I just harvested the other day. I harvested a really good one the other day, which I'm so excited about. I'm gonna pull the rest of that stuff out and actually probably sow some more carrots in this bed here. I have a plan, I think, of what I want to do with the carrots. So over here, just more random things. That's a apple tree. And we have serrano chili peppers. More celery that's getting close to be ready to harvest. These are all Roma tomatoes, San Marzanos, I think. I'm pretty sure they're all San Marzanos. I could be completely wrong. I won't know until I'm able to see the labels, but I see the San Marzano thing in the middle. And then we also have onions growing. Another tomatillo plant on the edge here. That's huge. I can't believe how big these plants get. And then this is our tomato bed. And we've got tomatoes. This is a Mountain Princess tomato. And then I have Ace 55, beefsteak from Homegrown Seed, vintage wine, Cherokee Purple, a volunteer cucumber, I think. I don't know what kind of cucumber it's going to produce, but I'm just kind of letting it go. I do have marigold seeds in here too that are finally starting to pop up, and I also started some basil seeds in here, but we haven't had a lot of rain, so I gotta keep watering it so that they sprout. But so we have Cherokee Purple, a giant crimson from MI Gardner. We have Dr. Weish's Purple Rain, Pink Oxheart, Upstate Oxheart, Abe Lincoln, some volunteer tomatoes because we filled this bed partially with all of our compost, and there was a lot of seeds in it, I'm sure. So we have 2 volunteer tomato plants that I kind of let go. Orange Jazz, Watermelon Beefsteak, Opelka, and a Bonnie Best. And then I think this is some sort of cantaloupe, I think. Just, again, just letting it go and see what happens. That I was growing and I didn't know where to put it, so I put it there. We'll see what happens. But it's so exciting seeing these starting to grow, especially the different varieties that we grow and seeing the different shapes. It's just so fun. I love it. This one's a honey drop cherry tomato from Hudson Valley. Steve's over there watering for me. On the outside we have some potatoes and buckets. This is Jakey's garden. We just ripped out the peas and he put a tomato plant in, and now he wants to grow some bushing green beans because he says he likes green beans now, so we're going to put some of those in there tomorrow. And Miranda wants to grow the purple green beans, so we're going to plant some of those in hers tomorrow. I have another kale plant and then 2 tomato plants on the outside. It's nice going out to the garden at this time of day because it's after dinner, the sun is setting over there, and it's gotten so much cooler out. Today it was around 80, but it was really hot in the sun, and it just makes it very difficult to work in the garden. So I try and get the things done in the garden either first thing in the morning, or we wait until after dinner to water and to walk through and look for bugs. Steve made, and we'll show this I'm sure soon, but we had a set of tongs in our kitchen that we've had forever. They broke, and he redid them so that they actually are now hornworm grabbers or bug grabbers off of our plants, so we don't have to touch them directly. Yeah, it's just really nice to be out here this time of day, and it's so fun seeing all the different things starting to grow. And we've been eating zucchini and squash, and tonight we had green beans with dinner, and they were so delicious. We also have pear trees growing that have pears on them. They have pears on them, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have, I'm not gonna walk up there, it's really far. But there's pears growing on them. But that'll do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.